what are the best
Mhm.
practices for aligning the product roadmap with the company's business objectives and KPIs?
Oh, that's such a good question. So as I talked about a little bit, the strategic plan, which should be a span of, it could be a year, it could be 6 months, right? Where are we running hard in the next, 6 months? Cascading that down. And so an example could be like, we do want to break into the B2B space, or we want to gain our next 5,000 users on our mobile app, whatever it is. And there's a time gate to that, right? In terms of your strategic plan, and then how you cascade that to go, well, what's that mean to product? What are our key KPIs, right? Let's break down the 5,000 users. Let's break down what the hypothesis are for B2B, and starting to theme and think about what those capabilities are. And this is where your product manager or your engineering team should be at the table for these conversations, right? Not just the delivery of it, but thinking around what that solution might look like, or what gaps or competitive differentiation we're looking to put in to achieve that company goal, right? The product roadmap should link to that, versus like, I think we should build this and this. The question is, well, why? Right? Like, what is that going to achieve, right? Either in what outcome, what product KPI is that going to boost, or along with the business outcomes. And I think sometimes it's easy to over index on the business outcome, which could be a sales number, or, B2C, it could be like, we need to sell X number of subscriptions, whatever it is. You just have to balance. Product's job is to be the biggest advocate for the customer outcome, and how that customer value and that customer outcome translates to that financial outcomes. And what are those numbers and metrics, picking only a couple that could represent that. So I think I'm a huge fan of outcomes-based roadmap. It is a muscle, especially if you are coming into maybe a further along company where that hasn't been a muscle. It's a muscle you have to kind of stretch and go to the gym and start to get out of the feature factory mode. And there's a time and place for, sometimes it's just stuff we got to deliver and we got to do it. And there's a time and place for that. But you want to make sure as a head of product, you're really indexing very hard on outcomes. And one question related to that, I think you had shared with me, someone had asked, well, God, it's really hard if you don't know what the KPIs or the outcomes are. You're so early, but you got to land somewhere. You do have to land. I would push back and say, like, well, it may be hard to track, so if you have a set of capabilities and you're really trying to build habit building, and you have a hard hypothesis that this habit building will build engagement, and engagement will build stickiness and will build renewal, there's like a cascade there. And you're just not sure how you're going to know if the capabilities that you're maybe MVPing or building are going to lead to that outcome. Well, first, don't overbuild. B, do as many experiments as you can to get some signals, and then land on the signal. And, figure out what that smoke signal is that's going to, give you indicators. And by all means, don't get lost in the data. Call people, call your customers and talk to them and ask them and understand if it's solving the problem you think it's solving, or how they perceive it. That's most important. Don't get lost in the data.